and welcome to the Best Of. On the Best Of, we focus on the best in the areas of sports. I'm your host, Ricky Tucker, also known as Coach Rix. That's respect, integrity, and excellence. And today we're fortunate to have the co-founders of Tennessee Preparatory Academy. They are Dr. Anthony Canada, co-founder and administrator. Welcome today, Dr. Canada. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having us.
And also Mr. Harold Rayford, who is also co-founder and president. Welcome.
Thank you.
We are really pleased to have you both here. You know, Dr. Canada, you and I have some history, and I'm proud to say that. So we are going to start off right away, just jumping right into Tennessee Preparatory Academy. Tell us some things about the academy that you guys have founded.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having us on your show.
Oh, it's all my pleasure.
And Tennessee Preparatory Academy is a brainchild of both myself and Harold Rayford. We came up with this idea because there were so many kids that were not getting exposed to the college life. They would play 4 years of high school and wouldn't get the proper looks that they needed to get to go on to college. So that was one of the reasons why we started Tennessee Preparatory Academy.
Awesome. Well, now, I've had the pleasure of meeting this outstanding young man, and for some reason he sounds a little bit different from us. So tell us where you're from, Mr. Rayford.
I'm from Newburgh, New York.
Newburgh, New York. He said that with authority. So thank you for joining us in this part of the country, and we're excited about having you here. Share with us a little bit of your background.
A little bit about my background. Coached Division I at Norfolk State University under Anthony Evans. But prior to coaching Division I basketball, I was the head coach at Ulster County Community College. In my first year stint, that's when I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Canada through a prospective student who he dealt with, Ryan Romes, who's a senior at the moment at Fordham University.
That sounds real good. Now, we've been talking about the sport, and Dr. Canada, you said getting looks and getting looks and getting looks. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about not just basketball, but we're talking about some of the most outstanding basketball players in the country. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, notice, young men, we're saying that about you, and parents, we're proud to have you to invest in the future of these young men by entrusting these two outstanding men. And Dr. Canada, I just can't say enough about you and our past, but let's talk a little bit more about the Academy. Now, just for the sake of our viewers, and we are really interested in getting as many young people in your program as possible. And if I can do anything to help you, that's what I'm interested in doing. So let's talk about where you are. Where are you located? Where's the Academy located?
Right now we're located at 1109 Walker Avenue.
Okay, and where's that? What
That
city
is
that?
actually Memphis, Tennessee, and it's actually the historical Walker House.
Awesome, that's great. So just for those people who may not realize it, we have to give Memphis its due respect, because people think that Memphis is known for Elvis and Isaac Hayes and Bill Street and the blues, but Memphis is known for basketball.
Yes, it's one of the hottest beds of basketball in the country. If you look around, you have the likes of Penny Hardaway, Cedric Henderson, Sean Respic. You have so many people here in the city who are coaching high school basketball that were pros.
Wow, the
that
list
lives
is
right
endless.
Here. It's endless.
So tell me, I know that you've been in New York, and there's some other states out there that are going to be saying, hey, look, I hear what you're saying about Memphis, but we've got some outstanding players too. So tell us, why Memphis? Why Memphis? Why Memphis?
Why Memphis? Dr. Ken and I, we been developing Tennessee Preparatory Academy for 8 years now. Throughout the years, you know, we talked about prep schools in the East Coast, and one day we spoke and how about we do one here in Memphis? Right now, the closest prep school to us is maybe 4 hours away.
So that stands to reason why this is a good, ripe area, because there are countless numbers of young men, and quite honestly, there's some outstanding young female basketball players as well. So let's go on and talk a little bit more about this program. Tell us some things. I had the pleasure of meeting your players. So tell us some things. I mean, where are they from and how do they become a part of the program?
Well, we recruited everybody in our program. We look for, families that want to invest in their child. Majority of, our athletes come from the East Coast. We picked up a few from Alabama, a few from, Atlanta, Georgia, as well as Virginia. We also have some international students, Belgrade, Serbia, as well as Angola, Africa. All of our students have been recruited, and myself and my staff, we go out through the country, look for students that need an opportunity to get more exposure, more development, and more of the life skills training.
Right. Now, tell us about what's so unique, because when you think in terms of basketball camps, you just think of a young person maybe going to a place like a Vegas and they stay in a hotel and flop. They don't do anything mentally. They just go and they just play. So what's so unique about Tennessee Preparatory Academy?
What's most unique is the breakdown of the day. Our students don't have idle time to get in trouble. First thing in the morning at 5 a.m., we work out, strength and conditioning. We give them maybe about an hour to get themselves prepared for school, breakfast. It's right into academics. Right home, when they get home from school, they get another 2 hours to study, make some phone calls back home.
Yeah.
Then we're back in the gym for individual training, where we work on skill development. Dinner, have another hour so to get themselves together, hang out with the teammates, then we go right back to practice at 8 o'clock at night. So their day is tailored for their growth. And on the weekends, we hold workshops, domestic violence, pretty much life skill workshops that help the full development, because the last thing we need is on the ESPN at the ticker is one of our student athletes name dropping down saying, Charles has been charged with sexual assault, domestic violence. We want to educate from A to Z. So, our student athletes aren't at risk.
Right. Well, that's awesome. And I'm really happy to hear that, because as you guys know, Dr. Canada and I've got some history and we've talked, and he knows that I'm a life and business coach. And one of the things that have actually been put together by she's a lot smarter than I am, needless to say. So she's put together the ABCs, and the A's are words like bring your A game, that focus on things like your attitude, your anchor. So those things that you all are doing, and with the history that I know that Dr. Canada has with working with young athletes, and I've seen him and I've seen you interact with the young men. So really, you're like a family away from home for them, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I've seen how you interact with the young men. I noticed that there's always yes sir, no sir. They treat everyone with dignity and respect. And we were actually even at a meeting, and I noticed how one of the young men stepped to the side and allowed a young lady to step ahead of him. So those are the kinds of things, ladies and gentlemen, that we are seeing from the organization. Now, as I was looking at your website, I noticed here where ambition and hard work meet success. And as we were talking before the show, Dr. Canada was sharing some of the quotes and some of the words that you guys share with them, the phrases. Just tell us a few of those trigger phrases, if you will.
Well, winners win, losers lose.
Wow.
He who walks the straight and narrow must also bend with the wind.
Wow.
A drowning man would reach for a pointed sword. We have a will to win.
Wow. Now that winners win and losers lose, it's simple. but there's something, me knowing you, there's a whole lot more to it than just that small phrase. Kind of give the parents out there who hopefully are considering Tennessee Preparatory Academy just an example of what something like that from your standpoint means.
Well, in every aspect of life, there's a winner and there's a loser. Some people are victims and they want to be victims. Winners are never victims.
Awesome.
Winners win.
Tell us the purpose of Tennessee Preparatory Academy. We are bringing these young men, you're coupling a number of things together. So let's talk about the purpose, because I really see, what I see is the development of not just athletes and not just student athletes. You guys are raising young men, indeed. So if we were to think in terms of that purpose, is that kind of leading to where you're taking these young men?
Well, just envision yourself, Rick, as a family in New York, in the Harlem borough or Brooklyn. Son has to travel and take 2 buses to school every day. And you're worried about the fact that he may or may not get home. You have a lot of situations where we have 2 parents in the home and they want to invest in their child so that they don't have to spend the money in college that they would have with 1 year of us preparing him for college. Pay now or pay later. Absolutely. That's our motto. And what we mean by that is parents nowadays, they're willing to invest in their children on the short term so that in the long term, the success that we breed here at Tennessee Prep will come into fruition.
Absolutely. Well, you know, I must step back and I must comment on something that just took place. And it's simply an example of what I've seen as you work with your people. I've seen them look up to you and I've seen them look to you. And I noticed when I asked that question, as co-founders, you guys are like seasoned musicians. You look to one another. I noticed when I said purpose, how Mr. Rayford looked at you and you looked at him. There's just that mutual respect. He didn't want to speak before you. You didn't want to speak before him. So that's just incredible that you really, it's almost like you guys think alike. So now you have been planning this, I understand, for about 8 years. You've launched in Tennessee. What are some growth plans? Do you have plans for duplicating this elsewhere?
Well, our first thing is to make Memphis our home, our permanent home. That's our first thing that we want to do. By saying that, Tennessee Preparatory Academy is looking for partners. What do I mean by that? We're looking for partners with the same type of purpose we have for our communities. Meaning, if you're a theatrical group, if you teach cooking, culinary, if you take care of the homeless, if you do things that impact the community, we want to partner with you. That being said, there are so many empty schools in this area that are not being utilized. We need to partner with some of these organizations so we can make the communities that these schools and buildings are in be vibrant, so that the communities can be vibrant.
Wow, so you're wanting to take a holistic approach, serve the community, teach these young adults and young people about ways to serve the community, serve themselves, help to rise, as the saying, all tides or rising tides lift all boats. I think that is quite incredible, and I'm really kind of holding myself back because as you talk about partners, you know, I've always said to you from the time the very first day we met that I was a life and business coach for athletes. Now, I don't know if you guys have a job description for a life and business coach just yet, but I'll write one up for you, and I'd love to join the team and help you to make a positive difference in the lives of the young men that you're working with currently. And who knows, there could be the opportunity to serve the female population of athletes, because we've got some incredible female athletes out there?
Well, we have you asked about a 1 to 5 year plan. We do have a plan to add a girls team,
Awesome.
Girls national team here in Memphis. We have a partnership with Hollis F. Price on Lamont Orange campus, who has a dual meaning if you go to Hollis F. Price starting in the 9th grade, by the time you graduate, you're a junior in college.
Oh, wow. That's
So
incredible.
with that being said, with every young lady that goes to college to play basketball, 99.9% of them don't go pro. So therefore, the educational piece is so important in that spectrum that if a young lady goes to Hollis F. Price and attends TPA, then when they graduate from college, from high school, they're a junior in college when they start the first day. Therefore, if they have a 4-year scholarship, it's not unlikely that they can be a doctor.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, now, Dr. Canada, I've had about as much as I can stand. You got to put me in the team. Put me in the team, Coach. Put me in.
Well, you know, Rick,
that
we've
sounds
been
great.
knowing each other about 20 years.
Yeah.
And you've always been a part of my team.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. He just said it right here. So
Yes.
I'm excited about that. Now, there's great information. Let's see. I've got a contact number here at 901-672. Is that the correct number, or what's the best number for you guys?
Actually, that's our headquarters number, and that
Okay.
number stays with us at all times. That's
Okay.
our headquarters numbers. The fax number is beneath that as well.
Okay.
I think you may have my cell phone number as well
Share
as
that with them. Go
Harold's cell phone number. My number is area code 901-864-2426. And my email address is anthony_canada@loc.edu.
And Mr. Rayford, how about your contact number?
Contact number is area code 845-728-2192.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you hear we've got Dr. Canada at 901-864-2426, and we've got Mr. Rayford at 845-728-2192. I'm Coach Ricks, and I can be reached at 901-870-7492. Once again, as a reminder, we are talking with Dr. Anthony Canada, the co-founder and administrator of Tennessee Preparatory Academy, and Mr. Harold Rayford, the co-founder and president of Tennessee Preparatory Academy. This academy is designed currently for young athletes, young basketball athletes from around the country, and even internationally we have some. Now, the conversation that we had, these aren't just your run-of-the-mill basketball players. Share with the audience the pedigree, if you will, of some of these young men, because we want them to know how important this is. And you don't just invest 8 years and not have the absolute. Just kind of tell us some of the rankings, if you will, of some of the young men that are participating right now.
Well, we have a gentleman by the way of Bronx, New York, Alex Torres, who I had the opportunity to watch him grow up from the 5th grade. Now I have the opportunity to coach him.
Awesome.
Recruited him ever since he was in the 5th grade. And now he's here in Memphis, attending Hollis at Price, currently carrying a 3.25 GPA,
Awesome.
taking 10 college credits. His mother is constantly on the phone with me
Great.
when, things arise. She doesn't call me every day, but she calls just to check on her son, see him progress. And for the most part, Alex is handling his business,
Good.
showing the reason why he's one of the top athletes coming out of New York City.
So he is a student athlete.
That's correct.
Yes, sir.
And talk to me, I believe you've got about 20 or 22 students, is that right now?
It'll be 25 tomorrow.
25?
It'll be 25 tomorrow, and 25 tomorrow. 26?
25.
25 tomorrow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
And I can see the love and the respect that you have just thinking about, it's like having another addition to the family. So you all seem to be pretty excited about yet another skyscraper coming in, because you've got some guys that are pretty average for basketball players, but from our meeting, you got some pretty tall glasses of water, as they say. So some of these guys, again, you guys are so modest. Are these just your average run-of-the-mill players? I understand these are the best of the best in the country. Is that correct?
They are.
Okay.
They're the best because they work hard.
Awesome. That is awesome. And Dr. Canada, I know that you're a man of many quotes and many phrases, and I've just seen how you interact with young men all the way from the time that we first met one another. So what I'm hearing as you talked about Alex, for example, is relationships and trust. And parents, I do want to say, for the ones of you who have elected to invest in these two men that I'm talking to today, for the sake of your children, I want to just tell you thank you, because I know that they are in great care. I've seen them interact. I think, Dr. Canada, you even showed me a picture a couple of weeks ago of one of the young men getting his hair cut. You know, so that really is a tribute to the two of you and how much you love and care for these young men, like they're your very own. All right, let's move on a little bit more. Now, you've talked about Hollis F. Price quite a few times. Now, what's your connection with LOC and CDC? What's that connection?
Well, truth be known, I'm a product of Soulsville. I'm a product from Lemoyne Gardens. Lemoyne Gardens, which ever since I've known myself, Lemoyne College has been a beacon of light for me. When the other young men were doing the things that they were doing when we were coming up, I would be in the library until they put me out. Lemoyne, I owe so much to Lemoyne College. It's that anytime I say anything or say a speech or speak in front of a group of people, I mention the fact that I wouldn't be where I am had it not been for Lemoyne College. The CDC, the Lemoyne College Community Development Corporation, a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Higgs, who is the original executive and still executive director of LOC CDC. We helped found that program, and I would be remiss not to sit here and talk about the great things that has come about from the CDC. Awesome. Hope, the Lemoyne Gardens, several, over 100 houses renovated in the area. It is awesome to be a part of something that impactful to our community. Awesome. And I don't think that we could have chosen, or I would have suggested choosing any other area for us to start this program.
Wow. So you're giving back to that from which you have received. So that's really great. Now, as we close down, we really want to dig in as deeply as we possibly can, because there's just so much that can and should be said about what the two of you have done and the two of you have yet planned, because I think you're just beginning. And the young people that you're working with, there are two things I'd like to ask just to make sure that we do this and not run out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, from Dr. Canada and Dr. Rayford, the co-founders of Tennessee Preparatory Academy, as we close out, there are two things I'd like to squeeze in just before we get out of here. Number one, and Dr. Canada, I'll ask you to think in terms of something that you'd like to share with the parents really quickly, and then share with your young men. And then Mr. Rayford, I'm speaking that existence, and if you're hanging with him, Dr. Rayford is coming. So just so that you'll know, that was not a Freudian slip. I think that was more divinely orchestrated there. Okay. So just to make sure we don't run out of time, if you would just give us a quick statement that you'd want to share with the parents, Dr. Canada, what would that be?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank every parent that has entrusted their children in our care for this year. Secondly, the parents that don't know about TPA, please go to TENNPREP 10prepacademy.org.
That's 10prepacademy.org.
Yes,
Okay.
TENN, not the whole word Tennessee.
Right.
And you will see what we're all about. Sign up for our newsletter, and you will get everything that we send out to the world.
Alrighty. Mr. Rayford, what would you say to the parents?
I want to say thank you for investing in your child. I think pay now or pay later is definitely a statement, that all of our parents are, investing in.
Absolutely.
Because they want to see their child become successful.
Absolutely.
And again, a warm thank you from the heart. I think, your investment is definitely entrusted in us, and we're going to do what we have to do to get your child where he needs to be.
Absolutely. Now, really quickly, and we're going to save time to make sure to squeeze these phone numbers again, what would you say to your young men quickly?
My young men, keep working hard. Make sure that the student comes before the athlete,
Yes.
and we are always learning.
Absolutely. How about you, Mr. Rayford?
Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Dr. Anthony Canada, co-founder and administrator, Mr. Harold Rayford, co-founder and president, and Dr. Canada's contact number is 901-864-2466, and Mr. Rayford's contact number is 845-728-2192. I am Coach Rix, and I can be reached at 901-870-7492. Can also be reached on Facebook. And I'd like to ask you guys to keep watching and looking out for Tennessee Preparatory Academy. Go online, Google them, look at their website at www.tnnprepacademy.org. You'll see a wealth of what's going on here. And gentlemen, I would seriously like to tell you that whatever gifts and talents that I have, I'd like to come and talk to you about sharing them with your young men. And young men, we want you to continue to focus on being your best. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been The Best Of, hosted by Ricky Tucker, better known as Coach Rix, Integrity and Excellence. And we have seen the best of the best here today in the form of Dr. Anthony Canada and Mr. Harold Rayford, and welcome to the area.
Thank you.
And we hope you can get used to it sometime soon. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you, and remember to always be your best.